Look at this. This phone is 2 years old, and its battery already holds less than half the charge it did on day one. Nobody dropped it. Nobody left it in a hot car. The owner did exactly one thing wrong. The same thing almost everyone watching this does every single night. They plugged it in, let it hit 100%, and left it charging until morning. That's not a defect. That's not bad luck. It's chemistry doing exactly what chemistry does under stress. Manufacturers know it. Battery scientists have measured it for over a decade. And today, I'm going to show you the exact voltage threshold that ages your battery and the free 5-second habit that can roughly triple how many charge cycles it survives. Here's what's actually happening inside that battery. A lithium-ion cell stores energy by shuffling lithium ions between two electrodes. When you charge it, ions pack into the negative electrode. The fuller the charge, the higher the internal voltage climbs. For most phone batteries, that ceiling is 4.2 volts per cell. That number isn't arbitrary. It's the edge of what the materials inside can tolerate before they start breaking down. Battery researchers describe the top of that curve, the last stretch between roughly 80% and 100%, as the most chemically stressful region for the battery. At high voltage, the electrolyte starts to break down, the cathode material degrades faster, and a layer called the solid electrolyte interphase thickens in ways that block ion flow. This isn't a manufacturing accident. This is basic electrochemistry. A widely cited study published in the Journal of the Electrochemical Society cycled lithium-ion cells across the full 0 to 100% range and found they dropped to 80% of original capacity after roughly 500 cycles. Other lab data cycling similar cells in a narrower 20 to 80% shallow range pushed that same 80% capacity threshold out past 500 cycles, roughly triple the lifespan from the exact same battery, same cell, same chemistry. The only variable was how high the voltage was allowed to climb and how long it stayed there. Battery University, one of the longest running technical references on rechargeable battery behavior, puts it plainly in their engineering notes. Cycling a battery between roughly 25% and 85% consistently outlasts cycling it between 0% and 100%, even though the deep cycle feels like you're using the battery properly. So here's the fix. And the best part, for most people, it costs nothing. Every 0.1 volt you shave off that 4.2 V ceiling roughly doubles the number of cycles the battery can survive at the cost of some usable capacity per charge. That's the trade you're making when you stop topping off to 100%. Option 1, the free fix. Most phones released in the last several years have a built-in feature. Apple calls it optimized battery charging. Android manufacturers have their own versions that learns your routine, charges to around 80% and holds there until shortly before your alarm, then tops off the rest. Turn that on in your battery settings, takes 10 seconds. Zero cost, docks in 2. For laptops or older devices without that feature, a simple outlet timer or smart plug, and typically $15, $25 at any hardware or electronic store, can cut power to your charger after a set number of hours. Long enough to reach 70 to 80%, short enough to avoid hours of trickle charging at full voltage. Purpose-built hardware charge limiters that sit in line and stop at an exact percentage exist too, generally in the 30-40 range, though for most people, the free built-in setting does the job. Safety note before you touch any charging hardware. Always unplug a device before opening it, never work on a charger or battery with wet hands, and never puncture, bend, or expose a lithium-ion cell. Damaged cells can catch fire. If you're only adjusting a setting or plugging in a timer, none of that risk applies. This is strictly a software and habit fix, not a teardown. Here's the logic behind why this works. In plain terms, heat and high voltage are the two accelerants of battery aging. Then, cutting the top 20% off your charge cuts your average time spent at peak voltage dramatically because most of the sitting fully charged overnight time simply never happens anymore. You still get a full day of use. And you just stop parking the battery at its most stressful state for 8 hours a night. One more habit that stacks with this, for free: avoid charging in direct sun in a hot car or under a phone case while gaming. Heat above roughly 30 degrees Celsius, 86 Fahrenheit, compounds the voltage stress and accelerates the same degradation mechanisms even further. Now let's zoom out And because this isn't really a story about one company, it's a story about an entire industry's incentives. A phone battery engineered to comfortably survive 1,500 plus shallow cycles would cost more to design, test, and manufacture than one rated for roughly 500 full cycles. Most manufacturers default to 100% as the full charge point because it markets well, bigger number on the box, even though it's the setting that ages the battery fastest. Meanwhile, the average consumer replaces a phone roughly every 2 to 3 years, right around the point a battery charged to 100% nightly starts noticeably degrading. That's not necessarily a coordinated conspiracy. It's simpler than that. And it's a system where the manufacturer's replacement cycle revenue and the default factory settings happen to point in the same direction. Nobody has to plan the failure. The economics just don't reward preventing it. To be fair, this is genuinely improving. More manufacturers now ship optimized charging features by default than 5 years ago, partly due to consumer pressure and right-to-repair advocacy. The tools to fix this are increasingly built in, and most people just don't know they exist. Here's the takeaway. You don't need a new phone, you don't need a repair shop, you need one toggle switched on or one $20 timer at the outlet. Then, every time you make an informed choice instead of the manufacturer's default, you take a little bit of your power back. Literally, if you want to stop replacing batteries you didn't have to lose, then hit the like and subscribe button so the algorithm shares this with someone who needs it, and I'll see you in the next one.